Hello everyone, this is Gosia. Welcome to my channel, and today I'm gonna show you another numerological analysis of Sinking of Titanic. This is one of the books I use in my research, but I also use many available online sources that anybody can find historical information regarding that day. So today we're gonna research what happened, how is the numbers affecting this entire event, and the title of today's video is Millionaires Don't Use Astrology, Billionaires Do, and that was said by JP.Morgan. So thank you very much for sticking with me. Couple of you ask me when I'm gonna make my another video, and believe me, I do have many presentation ready to show you. However, I was very busy recently and I just didn't have a time to make a new video, but this is going to be a series of videos regarding April 14 and April 15, 1912, and we're gonna research what happened on that day, who was involved in that event, and I'm also gonna talk about astrology, numerology, coincidences, mystery, conspiracy theories, and many other things to show you a different look about that day, and perhaps something that you may not know about this. So thank you very much. At first, I want to thank you really for sticking up with me. I know I don't have that many followers, but if you find this video helpful, maybe you can share it with your friends and give me a comment at the end and let me know what you think about it, if that makes sense to you. But I put a lot of thought into my today presentation. So I'm probably gonna split this entire analysis in maybe 2 or 3 parts. We see how long this is gonna take me for part 1. But I wasn't trying really hard to find as much that makes sense to me. And probably you're gonna hear today things that you may be not aware of, and we're gonna see where this entire analysis is gonna take us. So let's start from the beginning. I have my notes here that I'm gonna show you, and as you can see, I put myself in numbers, what I'm gonna present to you today. So what do we know about this entire event, right? So Titanic, right, hit iceberg on April 14, 1912, and the entire numerological number of that day was 22. If you are not familiar with numerology, I use, in my researches, I use many different types of numerologies in my analysis. So one of them is Pythagorean numerology, and in Pythagorean numerology we bring all the numbers to each other. As you can see here, each letter vibrates as a specific number. If perhaps you add, if you want to find out your life path number, you add all the digits in your date of birth, and you're gonna get double digit at the end. You add those two to each other and you're gonna get a single digit, and that's gonna be your life path number. And I'm also using a system of gematria, or gematria, depends where you live. Sometimes we pronounce it a little bit differently. And in this system, we use letters in numerological order, right? So in Pythagorean numerology, we add all the numbers until we're gonna get a single number. In this system, we use numbers straight as they goes, right? So let's say K in Pythagorean numerology vibrates as number 2, but as you see here in gematria, it vibrates as number 11. So I'm going to give you an example what I'm talking about, because if you have no clue what I'm talking about, so how does it work? As you can see here, name of the day of the week, Wednesday, vibrates as 137, 143, and 44. What does it mean? It means when you add all these letters to each other straightforward, you're going to get 100. And 37 is the reduction number. 143 is the counting backwards. And 44 is the counting reduction of the backward counting. When we see several different words or perhaps several different events, and the numbers in one, let's say in someone's name and day in a day, and the numbers matches, that means that there is something in common between that day of that particular person, or perhaps an event. There could be many different combinations, but I just want to give you some type of idea how the counting works. And back to Titanic. I know that there is many videos, and some of them are great, made by AI. Right now this is a very popular thing when a lot of people just make AI presentation. However, I am a human being, as you can see, and to me it's very important to show you from a human being point of view, because AI so far it's not able to show you the emotion and show you the human perspective at the situation. So that's why I do everything by hand, and I use hand and my mind analysis to find all this information to bring everything together, because that's just the way I am. So it's not AI presentation, it's a human being presentation today. So one more time, thank you very much for sticking with me. And if you didn't see any of my previous videos, please watch them and let me know what you think. All right then, so Titanic. So we know that Titanic hit the iceberg on April 14, 1912. The vibration of that day is 22. And the numbers that you can see, these are the numbers according to gematria that Titanic vibrates to. So the main number is 76. And the Titanic unfortunately sank on April 15, 1912, and that's the vibration 23. And when you add 2 plus 3, that gives us 5. And what else do we know? First, we're gonna go with our presentation to find some basic information regarding the Titanic and all the numbers that are involved in this event. So the name of Titanic was RMS Titanic, and the vibration of that name, which give us 126, 45, 144, and 72. And as you can see, one of these numbers, it's 144, and that is actually the day that Titanic hit the iceberg, what we were told, right? But let's see where this is gonna take us. So the weight of Titanic was 43,328 tons. The length was 882.6 feet, 0.6 inches, which equals 259 meters. Ship was holding 4.5 tons coal, and just the anchor weighed 16 tons, as you can see. Titanic was able to fit 3,500 people. On the trip was 2,224 passengers, and passengers with the personnel, and 885 people personnel, right? It was built at the Herald and Wolf shipyard in Belfast, Ireland. And just want to bring to your attention that I was trying to give you as much valuable information and as much loyable information regarding. However, different sources show a little bit different numbers. So you may find the number of the passengers. Sometimes some of the sources said that there was 2020 people, 2,240 people. So I was trying to match that number to the sources that show the same amount of people that were traveling on that ship that day. At the same time, another important information that not many people talk about it, at the same time when Titanic was built, there was a sister ship built, and that was Olympic. And you see the vibration of Olympic here, which is 93, 39, 96, 33. Olympic was the ship that was first finished, and it went on the water on December 16, 1908, and that gives us 28, and that equals 9. And then Titanic was the second ship that went on the water, and Titanic went on the water May 31st, 1911. And it took 26 months to finish each ship. There was several sources give us that information that 1,514 people die, and that was the information that several sources show. So I was going, because some sources, they show a little bit different numbers of people that unfortunately died that day, but it was one of the sources that I trust, and I was going by this number. However, look at this. 14 people die, right? And look at this. 14 and 15 was the day, right? April 14 and April 15 when this incident happens. What else do we know? April 15 is the 105th day of the year, leaving 260 days to the end of the year, as you can see. And another important thing that I found, that they were very poor working condition at the Harold and Wolff shipyard in Belfast, and they were 15,000 workers building these two ships. 246 people were injured. 28 people were badly injured, and 6 people unfortunately died during building those two ships. Well, that numbers also can vary, but this was one of the information that I found that I thought this makes sense, and I found the similar information in some other sources. It cost $7.5 million to build Titanic by them, and this is equal $200 million in today if we want to build that ship again. I'm not sure if this is for one ship or for two ships, but that's what I also found. There was another interesting information I found. There was 22 tons of soap used to slide Titanic to the water. So at the same time, they were building two ships. One was the Olympic and one was the Titanic. Olympic went on the water earlier, and Titanic went on the water later, right? However, Olympic was sailing just for about 6 months when it was a strike by the warship, and I believe it was called Hawk, and was damaged, and they brought Olympic back to the to the Belfast when they were still working on Titanic, and they had to fix Olympic for we don't know how long, but it probably took quite a bit of time. Also, the owner of White Star Line, Titanic and Olympics were owned by White Star Line, and it was registered as the British ship, but it was owned by no one else that JP.Morgan. White Star Line was owned by JP.Morgan. Titanic was launched at 12:15 p.m. at Central European Time on May 31st, 1911, and in the ceremony was Lord JP.Morgan and Bruce Ismay, and he was the co-owner of Titanic and the company White Star Line. And what I found out recently, as you're going to research for events, not just at Titanic, but many other events, as you know, the update online are coming very quickly, and sometime you may actually find a little different information that you were going to be able to find last year or several years ago. So when you do research on any other events, you will have to dig deeper to find actually who owns what to get the proper information. So let's see what else I found for you. Joseph Bruce Ismay was born on December the 12th, 1862, and his life path birthday was 5/23, like 23 the day when Titanic sunk, and he died on October 17, 1937. And listen to this. Ismay survived Titanic and was publicly ashamed of scrutiny and criticized for surviving. He resigned from his position of chairman, moved to Ireland, and then after some period of time went to England and died in 1937 in England. So he actually survived the Titanic. JP.Morgan never went on Titanic, but we're gonna go to it in a minute. There was another ship that was lost at the Mediterranean Sea, and that was Britannic. It was a hospital ship, and during the First World War in 1911, it sunk at the Mediterranean Sea. I found this very interesting information in one of the sources. Olympic was more famous of the two sisters. Titanic was heavier. Olympic was greater and more precious. Most pictures of Titanic come from Olympic. So I also find on this one site called Quora, I found this information that majority of the pictures that you see that we were presenting with, they actually come from Olympic, not from Titanic. Olympic supposed to be the one that was very, very, rich and unusual ship, but Titanic took all the credit. Titanic was able to hold 3,547 people, but wasn't full. On the day when it left, it wasn't full. Why? Because at the same time, there were strikes around in England, and some people were not able to make it to Titanic. There was only 2,224 people, and that were passengers and crew, and only 706 people survived, and again 1,514 people died. And as you can see, 15 and 14, that was very interesting that I found for you. However, because of the strikes, when Titanic sank, some of the family members who supposed to get on the Titanic, they thought that once they got that information that their family members die. However, when I was looking through this information, some of the family members in United States, they found few weeks later about the family members who did not went on Titanic, that they actually survived because they never went on the Titanic. So that's probably why some of the numbers, they don't match. So let's see that. So there was 3,547 spaces on the Titanic, and only 2,224 people were on the Titanic. That means that 1,323 people did not go, and there was still empty spaces for 1,323 people. So I found this very unusual. It looks to me like Titanic, like imagine this. The plane is ready to fly from New York to, I don't know, London, and it only takes half of the passengers. So that was very interesting, that only Titanic left with only half of the passengers, that the other half did not even make it. So wasn't the Titanic rushing a little bit to just go on, right? So tickets, now we're gonna talk about tickets, how much the tickets cost. So tickets, first class tickets were running from $40, which is equal in 2023 to $4,000, to $870, which is equal to $110,000 in today money per person. Imagine if you're taking your family of 3 or 4, paying $100,000 for a ticket on that ship. The second class ticket runs from $13, which is equal to $1,600 in today dollars, and the third class passengers were paying about $7, which is equal to $900 in today money. The total estimate first class passengers goods, because many of them, they were taking the art pieces, they were taking a lot of goods, the total of that was $500 million. 20 very wealthy people canceled their trip in the last minute after claiming the ship will sink. The richest person of Titanic was John Jacob Astor IV. He was the owner of Astoria Hotels, and his wife, who was 30 years younger than he was, she was 5 months pregnant and she survived. Astor used his fortune to build in 1897 Hotel Astoria, as you probably heard of them. But few years later, after his death, they closed the hotel, demolished it, and built in 1928. What did they build on Astoria Hotel? Empire State Building. So Empire State Building, it was Hotel Astoria back then. Astor IV was a friend and benefactor of Tesla. Astor provided Tesla with credit and later invest in his company. Tesla lived in Astor Hotel, but after Astor's death, his heir demand repayment with debt. Astor patented several inventions and helped develop turbine engines. I'm not sure if you know this. I didn't know this when I was researching for this information. Titanic left Southampton on April 10th, 1912. That was Wednesday at 11:40 a.m. And just want to tell you a few important things about the numbers that correlating with that entire event. So 410, it's a code for message receive. 410 is April 10th, is 101st day of the year, leaving 265 days to the end of the year. When we spell, and I'm going to show you on my notes here, when we spell 410, this is the vibration that we're going to get, but look at this. So when we're going to look at the numerological vibration of 410, we're going to get those numbers. About astrology, the sun that day on April the 10th, because that's a very important day, was in Aries, and Mercury was retrograding. So from astrology point of view, when you understand a little bit how do the planet works with each other, what does it mean when a planet go forward or planet is retrograding, and how does affect us? We all know when there is a full moon, people have tendency to be more aggressive. There is more tension in the world. The blood work faster in our body, and many years ago even medical professionals knew when there is a full moon, you're not supposed to operate on anybody, you're not supposed to work with blood, because the blood in the body has faster circulation. In today's world, nobody really care about this, and everybody is doing just as the procedure is scheduled. But once I was researching this information, many of the old books will give you that information that astrology was very important. And if you research information back in the day, all kings and everybody else in power, they have their personal astrologist in the castle, in the city, and they will put their line or their life on the astrology information. And in today's world, nobody really take that information serious. However, when you understand just a little bit of the astrology alignment with the particular day, with the particular person, then you will understand how everything correlates with each other. So when Sun is in Aries, what does it mean? Aries, the sign of Aries. Aries represents fire. Aries represents to go forward. Aries is action, right? Aries is ruled by Mars, and Mars is the god of war, right? So there is there's like a lot of tension in that period of time, right? Then when we have Mercury retrograding, what does it mean? Mercury is responsible for communication and commerce. So if we have a planet that is retrograding, that means it's opposite of its regular state. So when Mercury retrograde means there's gonna be some disruption in communication, in commerce. There's gonna be some impulsive time in the world, and there's gonna be tension, boost of energy, and travel plans that may be disrupted. So, as you can see from the first part, that the astrology and numerology has a great impact on that entire event. So, this is not just by coincidence that 20 wealthy people did not make on Titanic on that day. And of course, from the information that sources gave us, that there were strikes, that of course someone can get sick or something may happen, and someone may not be able to get on time. But imagine paying 20, 30, 50, $100,000 for a ticket, or if you have 2, 3, 4 family members, you spent like even into the, can you imagine today spending $300,000-$400,000 and just say, oh no, my wife is not feeling well, I'm not going, or change of plans. Well, I found this very, very unusual and I found this information very difficult to believe in. But anyway, so these were the basic information for the part 1 of this unfortunately tragedy. Part 2 coming soon. Thank you very much for sticking with me, and I see you very soon in part 2. Thank you.